Let me check
Okay.
if you're already live.
Okay. And I'm on.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it is. We are.
Okay, yeah, I think we are live now.
Can you
Okay,
all hear me?
yes. So
Yes, we can.
what I'll be doing is I'll be actually controlling it. So a very good welcome to all of you. It's a privilege to have you all of you gathered here today. We are grateful to see most of you and would want to, at this moment, thank you for joining us. This is going to be quite a very brief presentation with people from all over Africa and fellows who have experience and want to share a thing or two with you, and they'll be able to guide you with your application. So, once again, welcome all of you, and we hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to put in a comment. Feel free to actually ask any question, and it will be a privilege to actually uh, stand here and then be able to answer all of you from there. So today I have some amazing people in our midst, and these are ladies and gentlemen who have actually made impact in their various countries and are doing quite a number of great things where they are. So first and foremost, we actually have, and let me bring just on board right away. We actually have a wonderful group of people. So currently, we have Priscilla from Zambia. Priscilla, can you give us a wave? Priscilla, okay. And then we have Immaculate coming on from Kenya. Immaculate, can you give us a wave? Excellent. And then we have Tracy Oshi also coming from Nigeria. We have Mariama and we have Shafi who are actually joining us very soon. So once again, it's a privilege to come your way. Wouldn't take too much of your time. We'll begin by first doing a quick presentation of what this whole fellowship is about. And once we are done, some of the fellows will take turns and then they'll talk to us about the experiences from the different tracks that they have. So, without much ado, at this very moment, I want to let you know one of the key people that we have here. And Priscilla is one of the, I would say, amazing ladies that I've met. And I've been working with her behind the scene for quite a number of things. And she's amazing. So, Priscilla Simon Banda is a woman empowerment enthusiast, passionate about good governance and economically thriving communities. So currently, she's a co-founding director and chief executive officer at ZAM Stores, which improves agricultural and uh, manufacturing supply chains in Zambia through an e-commerce business ecosystem. Priscilla was a technical advisor for the past 5 years for the Southern African Global Fund and U.S. President's Emergency Plan for AIDS release strategy framework for key populations in the fight against HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria in Zambia. Priscilla co-founded the Center for Research, Consultancy, and Advocacy on Gender-Based Violence, a non-profit organization that focuses on the recovery and empowerment of victims. She also created Kumwezi Pads, a line of reusable menstrual pads for undeserved communities. Priscilla has dedicated her time to mentor women and young people in business and entrepreneurship because she believes creativity and innovation are the only way to alleviate poverty. Ladies and gentlemen, at this very moment, I present Priscilla to all of you. Priscilla, are you back? Hello, Priscilla.
Can
Hello,
you hear me?
Priscilla. Yes, we can hear you. Yes. Hel- Priscilla, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so Priscilla, we just did the presentation. I think we lost you for a while. So, do you mind just taking us through what this fellowship is all about and what actually people should expect?
Once again, good evening, everyone. It's good to have you here, and it's so much of a pleasure to have you and to know that you're interested in the Mandela Washington Fellowship. So I'll just quickly run through. I'm sure you have an idea already of what the Mandela Washington Fellowship is, but for those that just getting to know what it is, we'll just quickly run through it so that we could be at the same page even as we continue with our chat. So basically, the Mandela Washington Fellowship is a program, a flagship program by the US government for young African leaders. And
Priscilla,
hopes
it looks like we've
gives
lost
sight
you
of.
for a while.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's clear now. Please proceed.
Can you hear? I can barely get you. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Please proceed.
Okay. So I was talking about what the Mandela Washington Fellowship is about. So I was basically saying the Mandela Washington Fellowship is a flagship program by the U.S. Department of State that seeks to empower young African leaders from Sub-Saharan Africa to ensure that they earn capacity to innovate, create, and empower their communities with developmental solutions. So I'll quickly run through the application and eligibility information. So who can apply for the Mandela Washington Fellowship? So this program that the US Department of State has created is available for all young Africans between the ages of 25 to 35 on or before the application deadline who are exceptional, are also allowed to apply to the program, and they're allowed if they're between the ages of 21 and 24. So they are those exceptional applicants who have been taken on despite being outside the 25 to 35-year old bracket. So who qualifies for this program? So if you are not a US citizen or a permanent resident, but is resident in Africa, in a sub-Saharan African country, you are eligible to apply for the program. And you also have to be eligible to get a J1 visa. And you are also supposed to be running a program in the business, civic engagement, and public management sectors. If you have any program or you're doing work in these sectors, you are eligible to apply. And I must emphasize here that, these three tracks are very important in you standing out for this application. So you really need to show that you have done work that is empowering and impacting communities in these three tracks. So, what else do you need for you to qualify to enter into this program? So, another qualification is that you should be a resident of a sub Saharan African country, and you should not be an alumni of the Mandela Washington Fellowship. So, if you've applied for this fellowship before and you've been accepted and you've participated already, you are not eligible to apply for this program. So, basically, those are some of the things that they'll look at in the application as you're applying. Those are the things that you need to look at. So the screening process is very stringent. That's one thing that we need to be aware of. That's not to scare off everyone. For some of us, we tried to apply for so many times, and some of these are some things that we'll share as we go on. Some of the mistakes and some of the things that could screen you out. or allow you to go on further with the selection process. So what are some of the things that they look at when you're applying for the fellowship? So one, you need to have a proven track record of leadership and accomplishment as already stated in business, civic engagement, or public service. And also, very important is we need to have a demonstrated commitment to public and community service and mentorship. For example, if you have mentorship programs in your community or you're volunteering with maybe non-profit organizations to help them with different causes. So these are some of the criteria that they look at when selecting fellows. Also, you need to have an energetic and a positive attitude. So if you're a person who is very energetic, positive minded, you know, you are a very good fit for this program. And if you are that person that always waits for someone to tell you what to do, this might not be a very good fit because you need to be proactive in whatever it is that you are doing, whatever work that you are doing, you need to show some level of proactivity and solutionary oriented as well. And another criteria that they look at when doing the selection is that you must also have a commitment to return to Africa and apply leadership skills that you're going to earn during the training so that it benefits the country where you or your community where you come from. So this is also a very important thing that you need to put to mind as you are putting in this application. The Mandela Washington Fellowship is in no way a gateway to go and find a place to stay in America. But the initial intention of Barack Obama when he was initiating this project is he wanted to empower energetic young African leaders with skills, leadership skills, and training so that they could come back to our African countries and our communities so that we can impact our communities and enhance the work that we're already doing. Like I had already stated in the beginning, you need to show already a track record of work that you're already doing even before the fellowship, so that even after you have been empowered or given the more capacity to be a more effective leader, you can come back and continue with your projects and continue with your work within the communities. So this is the primary objective of the fellowship, to empower young African leaders so that they can come back and make their communities better. And another thing that I will add about the fellowship is that it's fully funded. It's a fully funded program. It's fully funded by the US Department of State. So once you apply and you're accepted, um, you do not have to cover any expenses, because after you are selected, you will be put into a 6-week leadership institute program at a US college or university to share experiences with and learn from US citizens and other fellows. So once you are accepted, you have an opportunity to travel to the United States, and you'll be hosted by a university so that you can learn skills and you are empowered with skills and knowledge, and also you share experiences with other fellows and also people that you meet in the United States. So another thing that will happen once you're accepted into the fellowship is that you will be able to participate in the summit with other young African leaders and other stakeholders, the US Department of State staff. You have that opportunity to meet with them, discuss issues and matters of development. So again, this stresses how important and how powerful this fellowship is. It is actually one of the most prestigious culture exchange programs that the US Department of State has. And so this is just to encourage everyone that is following our chat that this is not an opportunity to pass on, because once you are accepted into the fellowship, you go through the Leadership Institute, you become, on completion of the fellowship, you become a member of a continental and global alumni network, that will help you, to collaborate with other fellows that are doing similar work in your different sectors or in your different countries. You can also collaborate with US citizens. We have the reciprocal exchange program that you can also participate in, where you can have a collaborative project with a US citizen in your home country. So the amount of opportunities and benefits that the fellowship comes with are endless. And so basically this is what the fellowship is about. I think we'll learn more as we go on. And if any of my fellows have anything to add on the information that I've shared, please feel free to go on and share some of the things that I might have left out.
Priscilla, that was an excellent presentation. I think most of the items have actually been fully covered. I think most of the things we wouldn't want to people can find out themselves and literally go and read about it. So we've talked a bit, as you can see on the screen. This program, when it started, a bit of it, the eligibility, the timelines. So by September 13, 2020, it will be over. 2022, sorry, will be over. And then these are the timelines that you need to know. So those who are watching, these are basically the timelines that you just need to know concerning this fellowship. And Priscilla made quite a mention. So we'll be talking about these tracks very soon. Because every one of us, we are doing different things. We are change agents in different areas. So we'll have fellows share some few thoughts about leadership in business, some of the tips that you need to watch out for, and what you have to do. We have Tracy. Tracy is out. Let me take this off in the interim. It looks like we've lost. Okay, so that should be fine. It, we'll just move on to the next session. Looks. Let me try and see if I can bring Tracy in. Otherwise, we'll pass it up quickly. Uh, okay, I think Mariama is in. Mariama, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Ok. Mariam, ici, on va essayer juste de mélanger aussi le français un peu l'anglais. So you can speak in English, a bit of French, just in case of the other Francophone people. So you can do a bit of it just to help other people. So we are going to actually at this point, because Tracy is not there, we will directly move on to Mariama. And Mariama is actually currently, she's a young Senegalese. So Mariama is from Senegal, and she's a founder of UpTribe, a financial education company whose main objective is the financial and social empowerment of young people and women. So Mrs. Ndiaye also has a wealth of work experience in the financial sector and has also benefited from the bursary of the entrepreneur program of Tony Elumelu Foundation. So at this very moment, I wouldn't take too much time. So we have Mariama India from Senegal. Donc, à ce moment-là, c'est à toi de nous parler.
D'accord, donc merci. Je vais essayer, I will try, as you say, to speak French then English. I will try my best to, combine. So there is someone saying that my area of interest is leadership is business, but I'm here, I will talk about it right now. So thank you for having me today. Invité. Moi, c'est Maria Mandiaye, donc je suis sénégalaise, comme vous l'avez si bien dit. Et je devrais parler normalement du leadership in business track, right? So I will have to talk about the leadership in business track. So as an application, what I did, because I will just only give my perspective and my process, I actually applied for the Mandela Washington Fellowship for about 3 times and I failed. Then for the first time, I done it. So just to let people know that it's all about perseverance first. You know, it's also about um, am I here? Je ne vous vois plus, vous êtes là?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Ok, d'accord.
Yes, you're right. We can hear.
Ok. So, je sais pas, juste avant de continuer, est-ce que je parle purement français, après j'essaie de parler en anglais ou bien j'essaie de combiner les deux? Evans.
Je crois à ce moment-là, comme tu veux, là, parce que je crois qu'il y a certaines personnes qui parlent, donc tu peux mélanger. Si tu veux parler juste en français, si tu peux le faire. Tu parles en
Ok,
français,
d'accord.
après on fait la traduction en anglais.
D'accord. Donc, je vais faire en français vu que ce sera plus facile. Après, s'il le faut, je ferai en anglais.
D'accord, donc tu fais en français pour le début, après on fait la traduction.
D'accord. Donc, comme je disais, en fait, pour le process du Mandela Washington Fellowship, donc pour moi, mon expérience, c'est que vraiment, j'ai postulé 3 fois, j'ai échoué. Et pour la 4e fois, c'est là où j'ai été sélectionnée, à savoir cette année-là de 2022. Juste pour dire aux gens que c'est pas parce que vous allez postuler, en tout cas pour la filière concernée, Leadership in Business Track, que vous n'êtes pas méritant ou bien vous n'êtes pas un leader en tout cas dans votre domaine. Donc, tout est question de patience et de persévérance. Donc, pour le Mandela, comme notre cher compatriote l'a déjà présenté au début, c'est une initiative qui a été créée par Barack Obama. Donc, l'objectif principal, n'est-ce pas, c'est déjà de booster le leadership chez les jeunes et surtout de nous permettre à nous, ces jeunes-là, d'aller aux États-Unis et de pouvoir bénéficier des meilleurs cours. Donc, moi, j'ai choisi le Leadership Vision and Track et j'ai respecté le process. Hein. Tout d'abord, c'était via un formulaire, donc en ligne sur le site de www.mandelawashingtonfellowship.com. Donc, ce qu'il faut savoir, surtout pour vous, en fait, qui voudriez postuler pour ce type pour cette filière-là, à savoir Leadership in Business, il faut déjà avoir un projet bien concret. Parce que moi, en fait, c'est cette année-là, lorsque j'ai postulé, que je me suis rendu compte que c'est comment je présentais mon projet qui était erroné. Voilà, c'était pas bien contextualisé, la cible n'était pas assez claire, l'impact aussi n'était pas assez clair. Donc, you have to be very, very, very clear about your project. Parce que le projet, le YALI en tant que tel, ça demande que vous ayez un projet. Qu'importe que ce soit sur cette filière que je présente ou les autres. Donc, soyez clair sur votre projet, la cible et également l'impact en tant que tel. Parce que pour le formulaire, on va vous demander beaucoup de questions basiques. Hein. Oui, votre nom, prénom, où est-ce que vous venez, etc. Mais je crois que là où vous pourrez faire la différence, c'est par rapport à votre business. Que ce soit un business social ou bien un business vraiment business, quoi, genre financier, où vous cherchez la rentabilité. Il faut être clair et être très précis. Et surtout aussi bien expliquer le pourquoi le Mandela Washington Fellowship serait une excellente opportunité pour vous de booster votre business. Voilà, donc c'est ça qu'il faut essayer de bien formuler dans le formulaire. Parce que hier, par exemple, j'ai fait une session live avec la responsable, en tout cas des programmes de l'ambassade des États-Unis de mon pays. Elles m'ont dit, et peut-être que ça se vérifie aussi pour le Ghana, pour les autres pays concernés qui font partie du panel, que c'est pas forcément l'ambassade, en fait, les personnes de l'ambassade qui vont lire les formulaires. Parce que imaginez que déjà, pour nous, le Sénégal, il y a déjà 60 000, en fait, personnes qui ont postulé. Donc, c'est beaucoup de travail. Donc, ils vont prendre, en fait, des volontaires pour lire les questionnaires. N'est-ce pas? Donc, il est très important aujourd'hui, en fait, de bien expliquer le contexte parce que forcément, la personne qui va lire votre formulaire d'inscription n'est pas forcément ghanéen ou bien sénégalaise ou bien kenyane ou bien un autre pays d'Afrique, etc. Votre projet et surtout aussi, comme je l'ai tantôt dit, de préciser le pourquoi le YALI sera impactant et surtout, finalement, comment ça va se passer si après que vous ayez fait le YALI, qu'est-ce qui va changer dans votre business quand vous serez de retour dans vos pays respectifs. Donc, ce sont ces 3 critères-là qu'ils vont voir d'abord. Et après, si vous réussissez cette étape-là de remplir en tout cas le formulaire selon ce template-là, vous allez passer à la phase d'entretien. Et une erreur à éviter, s'il vous plaît, c'est de demander aux alumni du programme n'est-ce pas, de vous partager peut-être leur dossier de Yali. À savoir, vous savez que moi, par exemple, quand je postulais pour le formulaire, j'ai copié toutes les questions dans un document Word et je travaillais sur ça pour bien corriger les fautes et tout ça, etc. Et sur cette base-là, après, j'ai copié en fait sur la plateforme. Évitez de demander aux alumni leur dossier en fait d'inscription. Parce que ça ne va pas marcher. Ils vont automatiquement savoir que vous avez copié en fait parce qu'il y a des logiciels qui peuvent leur montrer ça. Donc c'est très important d'éviter de faire cette erreur-là. Ça peut vraiment vous blacklister. Donc évitez de faire ça. Maintenant, pour la phase de, comment dirais-je, d'entretien là, encore, ce qui va faire la différence, en tout cas pour ceux qui veulent faire la filière Leadership in Business, c'est vraiment que ils vont vous poser des questions orientées entreprise. Parce ils savent déjà qui vous êtes. Ils ont déjà fait une enquête de moralité. Ils savent qui vous êtes, ce que vous faites et tout. Ils ne vont pas forcément vous poser des questions sur votre personne, mais ils vont plus vous poser des questions sur, comment dirais-je, votre entreprise, le pourquoi de votre entreprise, euh, parce que peut-être sur le questionnaire, vu qu'il y a une limite de mots, vous n'avez pas eu la possibilité de beaucoup développer, mais ils vont vous demander d'aller plus en détail en fait sur votre business, votre cible, l'impact, et également vous poser des questions en relation avec votre spécial, ce que vous faites en fait dans l'entreprise, quotidiennement, etc. Pour être sûr qu'ils comprennent, et aussi ils vont vous demander des chiffres. Parce que des fois, il se peut que beaucoup d'entrepreneurs, vu que ce programme ou bien ce cursus de leadership in business est plus destiné aux entrepreneurs, ils vont vous demander des chiffres. Quel a été votre chiffre d'affaires? Combien de personnes avez-vous formé? Combien d'emplois avez-vous créé? Donc, ils vont vous demander beaucoup de ces choses-là, en fait, pour être sûr que vraiment, vous êtes un leader qui a impacté déjà sa communauté. Et quand vous allez aller à ce Yali, quand vous reviendrez, vous allez faire encore plus de choses dans la communauté. Donc, moi, personnellement, l'expérience que j'ai eue, c'est comme ça que ça s'est passé. C'est que vraiment, j'ai essayé de travailler personnellement sur mes questions, sur la structuration de mes questions dans le questionnaire, mais également lors de l'entretien. J'ai essayé vraiment de, comment dirais-je, d'être pertinente et de leur montrer en fait l'impact. Parce que apparemment pour le y aller, ils sont plus focus sur autre chose, l'impact. Avant d'y aller, mais aussi l'impact quand vous allez y revenir, n'est-ce pas? Donc, et aussi quand vous allez y aller, pour en tout cas ceux qui seront sélectionnés, ce sera une expérience enrichissante parce que ça va vous donner beaucoup de nouvelles perspectives en matière de business, en matière de networking. Donc, peut-être que ce n'est pas même l'objectif de la présentation, mais pour vraiment réussir l'application, en tout cas, ou bien l'inscription, les bonnes pratiques que moi, que je donnerais, c'est d'être authentique. Restez vous-même. N'essayez pas de plaire à qui que ce soit parce que devant vous, en fait, ce sont des personnes qui peuvent faire une enquête de moralité et vérifier les informations que vous allez mettre sur l'inscription. En deuxième lieu, essayez à chaque fois, en fait, de vous préparer à bien pitcher votre business, surtout côté impact. Donc, nombre de personnes impactées par votre business, le nombre d'emplois que vous avez créés, etc. Et finalement aussi, essayez à chaque fois de visualiser. Si aujourd'hui vous étiez sélectionné, qu'est-ce que vous vous attendez à apprendre et quand vous allez aller, ce que vous allez apprendre, comment vous allez implémenter cela dans votre communauté. C'est ça qui va faire la différence, je trouve, pour cette filière-là, qui est très enrichissante et intéressante. Et je vous souhaite en tout cas à ceux qui ont déjà commencé le process de le réussir, Inch'Allah, et de partager après leur expérience. Donc, Evans, c'était tout pour moi. Je te laisse traduire ou bien tu veux qu'on le fasse ensemble?
D'accord. Ça, c'est très bien fait. Merci beaucoup, Mariama. Thank you so much. So, Mariama is from Senegal, and she spoke more about the leadership in business track, and she did it in French, so that our other African compatriots who actually speak French would also be good for you. Basically, she was just telling all of us in a nutshell that this whole thing is about how outstanding you are. And if you are a change agent, try your possible best to let them know exactly what you do and how different you would be if you attend the program. So she took us through the interview session, the application, so on and so forth. At this very moment, we were supposed to have Tracy from Nigeria, who is a lawyer, but it looks like there's a bit of disconnection. I'm hearing something. So Tracy will join us later on. So at this moment, we have Shafi. Shafi is around. Shafi, are you on? Shafi, Chela? Shafi, seems you are muted. Okay, it looks we have this network problem all over Africa apparently. Okay, so there's no problem. Immaculate is a dear a friend from Kenya, and Immaculate is one of the people that you would want to actually listen to. She has such a vast experience that I think all of us would want to actually pay attention to what she has to say. So Immaculate currently is a seasoned and well-rounded hospitality. Is that Shafi? Shafi, are you on? Okay, so let Shafi should hold on. Let me mute Shafi for now. Okay, so I think Immaculate will take it from here. So Immaculate is a seasoned and well-rounded hospitality and tourism consultant and trainer. Her profession experience span across fields of hotel management, MIC tourism, tours, travel management, events planning, management, and mentorship. Currently, she is the founder and CEO of Cozy Tours, Travel, and Events Planning, and she has over 9 years in hotel and hospitality management. So she has a master's in arts in project planning and management from University of Nairobi, and a bachelor's degree in tourism management from Moore University. She is a Mandela Washington Fellow 2022, and she is also Women for Africa Lunch and Grow 2022. She is the current chair of Kenya Association of Women in Tourism, Transzoa chapter, chair of North Rift Tourism Association, chair of Transzoa Green Initiative, executive member of Transzoa Tourism and Association, and a national board member of Kenya Association of Women in Tourism. So, without much ado, Immaculate from Kenya, my dear friend, please give us some few guidelines so that we can help more people to reach those levels you have reached.
Yeah, thank you, Evan, and I'm really happy to be here today. So basically, I'll just give an overview and guidelines on application. I'll go straight to it. Number one, as an applicant, you need to do a research. As Priscilla has mentioned, we have leadership in business, civic engagement, and public management. So therefore, you need to really do your research very well and then align yourself with the right track where you belong. Of course, there's a number of ACs that you need to do. So because of the deadline is a bit far, you might procrastinate and say, oh, you keep on postponing. So prepare your AC in good time. Do not procrastinate. And then you format your wordings. You can do this. You can just like copy it on Word and prepare it. Be precise and let it flow. Tell a story, and have a connection from each and every AC. Don't jump from, maybe you're doing several things like I am doing. And for example, I am a Mandela Washington Fellowship 2022, but I have applied 3 times, which, for me to get it right. So have a connection from each and every AC. If you're talking about, women and girls issues, you're talking about education, you're talking about, environment and other aspects that you are doing So you need to be very precise and have a connection from what you are saying, from each and every, just have a flow. Another thing, you need to have clarity on what you're doing. Just like another, like Evans has said, how are you transforming life? What is the problem that you're solving? So those are the questions you need to ask yourself. What is the impact from that project that you're doing? Yeah. So having clarity and knowing what you're solving, the problem that you're solving, and how you're transforming or impacting lives in their community, it's very key when you're answering those questions. Another thing you need to stress on is, you need to measure impact. If you have the numbers, if you have the percentage on how, you are transforming lives, how many numbers, how many people are you transforming, or how many people have you mentored, how many people have you reached? Yeah. So based on numbers, if possible, and of course have some, have a social media account whereby you have proof of activity of what you've been doing, and that, like tagging the other networks and stakeholders that you've been working with. One thing that you all need to know, that integrity is key. It's the reason that you are. It is your value. It's your purpose. So you need to be very, very truthful on everything that you're doing, on everything, and on how you're answering your questions. So you need to be very, very truthful. Yeah. But, you need to, most of the basic focus that they are focusing on when it comes to the application, or basically what they're doing, but it's not limited to what I'm saying, is women and girls issues, health, environment, education. So when you have clarity on what you're doing and what you want to achieve, then be intentional. Have that, like I've said, the copy all the essays on Word, and have clarity on what you're doing. Have the connection. Let your essay flow, and let it represent you as a person. And of course, there's also an aspect of PDE, whereby 100 people are given opportunity to actually like have a hands-on experience with other organization or big organization in the United States. So you need to you need to know what are the hands-on experiences that you're actually doing, and how are you impacting life. Again, you need also to, I'm stressing on measuring your impact based on metrics and numbers. Yeah, if you can have that, then that will also help you, stand out as a candidate. And then you need to also pay attention to the requirements. Most of the time, they're saying maybe on one essay you need to have like 215 words, and you end up having 251. Please note that that will automatically remove you from being shortlisted. So pay attention to all the requirements and limitation when you are doing your application. And then again, what you're doing, what you want to gain from the experience. Have all that in mind, and yeah, I think basically that is what it is, and we'll share more as we continue. Thank you. Back to you, Evans.
Thank you so much, Immaculate. It's been very amazing so far. At this point, I'll bring all of you here. Priscilla. Okay, I think everybody's around. Okay. So
Dr. Dio, can I also add, following up on Immaculate's
yes, please,
sentiment? Is
yes,
that something
please do.
before I lose thought of it?
Yes,
Okay,
please do.
so Immaculate has been very clear on the importance of how you put in your application, how important it is to put in a well thought out application. And one of the things that I think help Mariam, I also applied for the fellowship 4 times. 3 times I was rejected, and then the fourth time I got in. And looking back,
Ma-
I've been doing an
Priscilla,
introspection and trying to understand.
Priscilla, that
Yes,
component I was
Evans.
going to ask you later on, since you've mentioned it, kindly speak to it for us about the fact that you're rejected a number of times. I was going to ask you later on, but since you've mentioned, kindly speak to it.
Great. Yeah, so I was saying I've just been doing a reflection on my experience for the application, and the other fellows have emphasized on resilience and also just having that zeal of not taking down the first no when it comes. And this is not getting, and you can't get, you need to fail to get in. We've heard stories of fellows that applied the first time and they got in. And so perhaps for me, as I was in addition, realize the importance of having a story. You need to have a story, and that story should be coherent with what you're trying to do. As a person trying to put on in the application. When the story is not pretty, even the story, even if the story is not perfect, we need to tell it. So that story that you put up and connecting it to the work that you're doing, it puts you in a place where you are able to connect to the feelings of the person that are the people that are reading the applications. And one other thing that I've also very much seen is that for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, impact is the number one thing that they are looking out for. It doesn't matter how many degrees you have. You have a PhD, you have impressive credentials. You are a smart engineer. But if the focus of your work is just on you and what you can get, then the Mandela Washington Fellowship is not for you, because the primary thing that they are looking out for is that, yes, you are this great engineer, you have these great credentials, but what are you doing to give back to your community? And so you have to create your story in such a way that it's consistent with what the fellowship is trying to do, which is to raise young, positive minded, proactive young African leaders that are passionate about making change, that are passionate about impacting other people, that are selfless leaders, that are servants of the people. And so that is very much a very important aspect of the application process. So as you are going through that application, please bear in mind that this is what you are trying to do. You're trying to sell yourself, okay? And so you have to sell your story in such a convincing manner, such that people who will be reading it will be able to relate with what you're trying to say. And this also goes to say that do not be afraid to be vulnerable. Immaculate and I were at the same institute, and during the fellowship, we learned that as a leader, vulnerability is power. And so you need to learn how to use your vulnerability, your stories, those stories growing up, who you are, how consistent you've been as a person growing up, and how your experiences have led you to where you are. So sharing all those things in a very coherent, in a very clear manner, and also understanding where you are, where you're coming from, and where you want to go as an individual, and how you plan to use your experiences, your credentials, and whatever it is that you are doing to make better communities, make thriving communities. So that is just one thing that I just thought is perhaps very important, that even as we are looking into this application, we need to be very, very intentional about, like Immaculate has already indicated. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. That was a very good one. For me, what actually hit home for me is the fact that you had applied not just once, not even
Mhm.
twice. You went a third time, and until you were successful. So it's something that had been a journey that you went on and on and on. I want to ask you the same question, but actually in a different way. What did you
Mhm.
do differently from the first two that made you? What do you think is the main difference between the final application that got you into the fellowship from the other ones that you are not accepted?
I think as I look at the 4 years journey, it's like it's been a journey of self discovery, understanding who I am as a person. Immaculate mentioned something very powerful. She talked about um, understanding who you are. So this is the thing about me, about Priscilla, is that I'm sure you were even able to tell from my bio is that um, I'm a very multi passionate person. I've always been. And so sometimes that, in the previous applications, it's like I seemed to be, I was kind of not very consistent. I would be talking about perhaps my business side and also talking about, how I'm passionate about, sexual and reproductive health. So looking at my first application and my last application, I think the major difference is that I found a sweet spot of marrying, you know all those passions that I had, the work that I was doing, and seamlessly blending them in and making them into one powerful story. So I hope that that makes sense, but it's pretty much understanding who I am as a person. It has been a journey of self introspection, personal growth, and understanding myself as a person, and also relating it to the work and the impact that I'm giving out there. And also another thing is evidence. I think one of the things that were missing in my three um, applications that I'd put in that were not that didn't go through is that I did not really have enough evidence. One example that I can give is that a website. So on application number 4, I had a website that I could share. I could show them to say, hey, I have an e-commerce store, right? And then I could link them and say, you can check it out. They can go and check and see, okay, that, oh, there's really an e-commerce store. So evidence is also one of the things that really, really stand out in your application. They should be verifiable information that people can, because the embassy does a lot of diligence. They want to know that if I've talked about a story, how true is my story? So they
Mm,
will go at extra lengths to understand that my story, can be backed up by things that I'm actually doing. Because it's easy to come up with
exactly.
a story, but are you able to back it up? Right?
Mm,
So I think from my first to my last application that actually managed to get me in is that I had evidence to show. If I talked about having a project where I was providing sanitary care, I had evidence to show. I had people that you can go to. The numbers that Immaculate is talking about, I had the numbers. And if they were to go to the community, they would actually confirm to say, Priscilla has been here and she's been doing this work with the young girls, and it was verifiable enough. So perhaps that's also one of the things that I did different from the three other applications to the fourth one. And another thing is procrastination, because procrastination really kills us. Um, Putting in your application on last minute, I think one of the applications actually submitted it a night before the deadline. And so when you're in a rush, it's so easy for you to make a mistake. So do not procrastinate. Make sure that what you're putting in, remember there are thousands and thousands other people that are looking for this same opportunity as you are. And so things such as grammatical errors in, small things like that really matter. And also, no matter how hard the question seems to be for you, please do not leave any blank spaces, because those blank spaces will filter you out already on first attempt. People will not even have an opportunity to read whatever other things that you've written once you leave those blank spaces. So please, as much as you can, try and avoid leaving blank spaces in the application. So fill out the application to its, you know, completion. Just finish up everything and don't leave anything hanging. So, because that also shows how you rate or how important you think this fellowship is. Because if you're just being casual about it, you just want that application sent. Believe me, you are not getting anything back. So I think those are some. I can say a lot of things, but I think those are some of the most important things that I can reflect on and think that I did different with the failed applications and the winning applications. Thank you.
Oh, well, that was a very good one. Thank you so much, Priscilla. You are a true definition of persistence and consistency. That's a very good one. So, if there's anybody listening to us out there, and you think for some reason you actually do not qualify because you applied once and you didn't have the chance to be accepted, Priscilla went one, two, three, and then finally she got it done. And in summary, what she was just saying is that make sure that whatever you are doing, you have enough evidences. Whatever story that you are telling, gather enough evidences. And Immaculate mentioned it. So, Immaculate, at this point, I'll come back to you. You kept talking about storytelling, and you talked about the fact that people should be able to tell their story in a way that can actually be believed and be authentic. What would be your advice for people who are not good storytellers but actually have very, very good track record and would want to benefit from such a fellowship, but they are not good storytellers? They don't really know how to put some of the good works they are doing into good essays. What would be your advice for them?
Yeah, thank you, Duba. Uh, just maybe let me add something to what Priscilla was mentioning, then I come back to this
Please
because
do.
it has a
Please do.
connection. Um, Number one is I've also applied like 3 times, and the fourth time is when I got it. I would just sum it up by, you need to be very intentional when you're answering all these questions or when you are making your application. So when it comes to storytelling, you don't need to be a storyteller for you to tell a story, because these are the things that you already do, you are doing. So you just need to put it in a way that you best represent yourself, but make sure that it has a connection. It is very precise. You format your words to, like to flow. It does not need to be a story, but it is flowing from one stage to the other. It is flowing. You do a research. And basically, like, when we are doing the first presentation with Priscilla on the application processes, on that link, when you go on the Yali Network or Mandela Washington Fellowship programs, you go online, you'll find a lot of application on how to answer those questions. So that's why you do not need to procrastinate. Make sure you do enough research, learn from others, and that is a good thing that you're here today. You're learning from us. So do your research, get to understand your story. What is it that you want to tell? Are you doing so many things, and how do you connect them? Yeah, just like Priscilla mentioned that, she was doing so many things, but she was not connecting the stories and it wasn't flowing. Therefore, she had to try 3 more times. And so was I. Like, I was doing so many things. I was doing mentorship. I was doing the girl and women issues. I'm doing environment. All those things I'm doing, but I was not connecting. I cannot say that I'm a very good storyteller, but how you how you program like how you present yourselves in the words, and be very precise. You don't need to tell a very long story, because remember, you're also limited in terms of words. The numbers of, the wordings that you need to present. So if you tell a very long story, and then you keep on you lose the meaning of what you want to say. So be very precise, but also very clear in what you are doing, and let it have a connection. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a very good one. I'm seeing Shafi is joining. Shafi, are you able to join us in? The same Shafi and Shafi from Niger. Shafi, tu es là? Okay, I think we'd have to move on without Shafi. Priscilla, are you also there? Mariam, are you there? Okay, so I'm going to try and read out some few questions, some that I've gathered from some of the few ones. Humphrey was asking a question about, so please, I'm so sorry. I have no idea why my dogs are barking at this time. So forgive me for the dogs. I can't control them from barking. Please, the audience, at this point, you can just put in your questions. We'll read them out, and then the panelists would answer them. So if you have any specific question, please just drop them in the commentary. And then, so Humphrey said that he has started his application, and is it possible for us to proofread? Mariama, would you answer that one?
What is the question again? Excuse me, my voice is breaking.
Sorry.
Can you repeat? The questions. What is the question?
If we can read for him, if any one of us would want to read for them, proofread it.
Read for them.
Yes. So what he says, if we can go through them.
I don't understand. What is he asking? If we can read their application?
En fait, il veut juste savoir si lui, il a fini de faire en fait tous les essais là, les dissertations là, il a fini. Il veut savoir est-ce qu'on peut juste lire pour lui, juste pour confirmer que ce qu'il a fait est bon ou pas.
I mean, I guess so. I guess so. If you want, we can. But it's not a criteria for you to be successful in your application. As everybody said here, you have just to be authentic, to be mindful, and to know what you are talking about in order for you to maybe get selected. We can. Okay. There is no problem about that.
Okay, so Humphrey, yes, we can, and please, at this point, we will be able to social media handles. I have posted some, so I asked the panelists to you can send it to me any of our means, and then I'll post your social media handle so that if anybody wants to reach out to you for anything, they can all reach out to you. So the social media handles you are comfortable with, kindly send them, and then let's share it with them. There is a second question coming from Abdul Rahim Baba. How do we get essay seen in the first place, even before it is looked at? I mean, are there keywords to use for it to stand out? Okay, Priscilla, are you there? Okay, Immaculate, are you there? Would you want to take the question? Yes. I should answer. Okay,
yes,
please do ask the honest.
I don't think there are any keywords. Basically, it depends on what track you're applying, and if it's leadership in business, civic engagement, and public management. Basically, you have the words that you use when you are, doing that project that you are doing. So you are the author, so you can bring out the best words that you have. So there are no specific keywords that you should be using, but you need to bring it out. You don't need to use jargon words most of the times, because I'm sure maybe you're asking that. You can use very simple English, words, and as long as it brings out or it explains the project that you're doing, you're good to go. So you don't need to use jargon words and all that. No. Maybe you'd want to add anything, Mariam?
Yeah, so I think just like Immaculate just said so well, you don't need to overly try to use certain jargons, or they are not looking out for any exceptional keywords. The key thing they want to know is currently so I'm using the word little so that nobody is actually underestimated. So if you think the little you have done is making quite an impact, then they want to know if that impact is actually uh, something that you can actually stand out with it. So the most important thing here is that you want to actually come out as someone whose work is having a ripple effect on people. So you can be in any of these tracks, and I wanted to put it on the screen because most people get it confused. So there's leadership in business. So the leadership in business, all of you who are into, for example, travel and tour, you are into starting your own business, you are doing a bit of entrepreneurship, you are in a certain maybe profession, you are whatever, and you are into business, entrepreneurship, and all that, you fall more into this. It can be in innovation and technology, it can be in emerging markets and youth population in Africa, it can be in business plan development, you can be in financial management, so you can be a banker. I remember when I was at Kellogg, I had about three bankers with me, and they are people who are actually bankers. You can actually be an accountant. You can be in business ethics, intersection of business, maybe between PPP, something between public and then private partnership is all acceptable. And then you have the leadership in civic engagement. So develop fellow skills in civic engagement. So civic engagement, all those people who are so much into, you have NGOs, okay, you have any NGO, this is where you go. Advocacy, you are a lawyer, you are trying to help with gender equality, everything is around this side. Strategic planning, organizational development, intersection of civil society with business. If you're a civil servant, it all comes through this part. Then develops further skills in public management. So if you are someone working in any public management, so either you are not necessarily a civil servant, but you do a lot of engagement. So you're into politics, you're even a journalist, you're into media, you're into so many things. You're doing a lot of citizen engagement. You are into a lot of some of these youth advocacies and stuff. Once your resource management, financial management systems, and there's also an intersection. You are between these two. Now, you may be an entrepreneur, for example, just by the day, but you think your advocacy. So, what you have to do, some of you listening may find yourself here and there. So, between leadership in business, leadership in civic engagement, leadership in public management. So, maybe you run your business, you have an entrepreneurial activity you're doing, you are actually part of a very strong advocacy movement. You are also a public, you may be in a university, you work in a government institution. What you have to do is that among these three things you are involved in, which one is actually your best foot if you put it forward, would actually get you in. Remember, leadership in business is often it has almost probably the highest number. In most of the times, leadership in business is where more people are. So leadership in civic and leadership in public management is something you can also give it a try. So it depend on which one you think will make you stand out. Okay. Let's take the next question. Which is
Mm-hmm.
Priscilla?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Which level of
Confidence. Which level of leadership is considered? Must it be a community or an association that is considered? Which level of leadership is considered? That looks a bit not too clear, but if I understand the question, Immaculate, do you understand him?
I think as long as you're impacting your community or your society positively, as long as there's an impact and you're transforming life, whether as an association, if you are in an association and it is a non-profit organization that impacts life, or it's a profit organization that impact life. Yeah. So as long as you're transforming lives or you have an impact, yes, it is considered. So you don't need to, shortlist yourself. I mean, cut yourself out, say, maybe I'm not. As long as you are impacting life in a positive ways, as long as you're transforming lives and what you're doing has an impact, please go ahead and apply. Do a research, see where you fit in those 3 tracks, and go ahead and apply for this fellowship.
So that's a very good one, Immaculate. So just to add to what Immaculate just said, it doesn't actually matter if you think a mosquito is quite too small, like that saying goes. Just be in a room with a mosquito and you see how powerful a mosquito is. So basically, nothing you have done is too small, as long as you are making any impact. And with the United States in particular, the US, they like diversity. Okay, they like inclusiveness. So sometimes they are even interested not only those people who are doing bigger and mega things, but sometimes they want to see people who are doing smaller things and still making an impact. And in those quotas they are looking at, you may be the lucky one that will be considered for the smaller projects will be included. So please, you never win a lottery unless you stake. You never get called for an interview unless you apply for it. So do not underestimate yourself and say you do not qualify for it. You actually will be surprised that you do.
Sure.
Okay, are we good? Can we move on to the next question? Okay.
Yes, please.
So we have John Jr. I'd like to know what the first speaker meant by a project towards your community. Should it be a progress project in an organization, or could it be per the needs of the community? Okay, so this one, let me quickly answer. So, John, the whole thing that when he said that the first speaker said that make is about something that you are doing to your community is actually they want you to solve a real problem. This whole fellowship is about solution providers, people who are trying to be problem solvers in their society, in their community, whether it's an urban community or it's a rural community. What they are trying to do is basically trying to see what value added or value creation are you making in your community. It could be the fact that you may do a major project. Sometimes you don't have to do any project. You're a medical doctor. Yours is by giving your qualification and saving lives. That's what you're doing. By virtue of you being there, when people don't want to be posted into the rural area and you being there is enough. You may be working in maybe I don't know, forestry commission or whatever, and for that reason you've been posted into some hinterland or some rural area and nobody wants to go. You go there and you're helping chasing all those people doing deforestation and stuff, and you think your advocacy is helping. That is enough. So there is nothing like a project that is in progress and a project that is actually what they want to know is it solving a major problem, is it a minor problem, but in terms of the impact of it, if your impact is saving one life, but that one life is connected to millions of lives, then it is actually an important impact. So please, it shouldn't be anything that maybe should even sometimes it could be even something which is a concept that you are piloting and they can consider.
Maybe
I
to
don't know
add
if
on
any
that,
of yes, please come in.
yeah, just to add on what you've said is, for example, maybe you are addressing the issues on environment. And of course, you're not the only one who's going to apply when it comes to environment. Let's say, for example, that is your project. So you need to address your impact in terms of how unique is it, and how uniquely are you impacting your community? Are you just like planting trees, or you're planting trees plus something else? You know, so how uniquely have you packaged your product? It's like you're a brand. You're selling you as a brand. Then why should I come and buy your product and not this other person? So you need to package it in a special way, in a unique manner, so that you're able to stand out from the rest. That's it. Thank you, Evans.
Okay, we have another question right here from Brutus the Prodigy. So if you, okay, my good friend, so if you have not done anything extraordinary like being in a management position, organizing, how will you put your story for it to be catchy? Okay, so he's talking about maybe you are not in. I understand where he's coming from, where you are maybe some top CEO or managing director or general manager. You don't have that. You are also not actually maybe engaging the youth or doing anything extraordinary as outside of your work to do something that would be catchy enough. I don't know if I can actually uh, put it in a better way. So he's trying to say he does not have any extraordinary thing in terms of career. He's in the middle level or upper lower level or something. And then he's also not done so much outside his work. What can he do to look catchy enough to qualify?
So the
Can I
question
can I
is,
take that one?
Yeah, so
sure,
the
Priscilla, go
question,
ahead.
okay, Priscilla, please go on.
Um, I have a problem with look catchy enough, because whatever it is that we're trying to do here is not for you to go out there and fake a story. And I don't know if Brutus was following when I was sharing my story. It's like, we want you to be as authentic as you can be. Okay, you might not have implemented a huge project, you might not have had or held a huge management position, but maybe you have a brilliant idea that you're trying to work on, a brilliant project. You haven't yet implemented it, but you're working on something. Maybe that way you can try and, curate your story and, show the people that you're trying to work on something. Because if you were following in the introduction where we were describing what the Mandela Washington Fellowship is about, if you really understand what the fellowship is about, it's about enhancing what's already there. Okay. The fellowship is looking for people that, you know, have the energy to create solutions. So you don't need a very big management position to do something extraordinary. Even in your work as a teacher, I've seen, for example, I'm not saying being a teacher is ordinary. It's extraordinary. I've been a teacher before. You can be at a teaching job, and just there where you are in your work, you are showing leadership, right? So what I'm just trying to say is you're not trying to put up a show. You really want to show the people that are going to screen your application, you're trying to show them that there's substance there. Brutus is, he might not have done something very big, but we're already where he is. He's working with what he has to do something bigger in the future. So it's about, again, like I indicated earlier, knowing where you're coming from, understanding where you are now, and also looking at what you want to do in the future. So, catchline there is authenticity. Be as authentic as you can be in whatever it is that you are trying to do. If you are teaching, do the best at the teaching. Then show them to say that your teaching has, impacted people and that's why there are different tracks. There are different tracks. You might not have your own business, you might not have a very big position, but the work that you're doing already at an organization, you can try and link that to your story. For example, you're working, we had one fellow who he didn't have a business, he was in the business track. And also, that's another thing. You might apply to go into the business track, but you'll be, put in another track because they'll look at you as a person holistically. Okay. So this person doesn't have a business, is not implementing a big project, but the company where he's working from, the work that they're trying to do, and how he contributes to what that company is doing. He's curated a story that is consistent with who he is as a person. So you might want to look at it that way. So at the end of the day, you want to be as authentic, and as Immaculate said, integrity is key for leaders. So what we're trying to sell here, we're not trying to sell you to curate stories that are not consistent with what it is or who you are as a person. So I just wanted to, I hope I'm making sense there. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's a good one, Priscilla. Hello, Priscilla.
Yes, please.
Can
Can
you
you
hear
hear
me?
me, Dr. Evans? Yes, I can hear you.
So okay. So those are a very good answer. So just to add to it, I think we've talked about the fact that everything that you're doing, remember, dealing with the U.S. government, and for them, due diligence is everything. So you need to be as
Mm-hmm.
authentic as possible. You need to be very mindful of what you put on your social media handles. So as part of the application,
Exactly.
they'll be requesting for your social media handles. So, and one thing that people don't know is that if you run multiple accounts on social media and we request for one, we can trace all the other accounts. So what it means is that they are capable of tracing all the other accounts you did not even submit, and they can find you and track what you did. So the good thing is that you need to be very careful with what you put out there. Make sure that is authentic. Be mindful of what you put on your social media. But there is one thing that the leadership in business actually offer, and I think that is where Brutus can actually maximize on. What the leadership in business can offer you is that you can talk about the fact that what you intend doing and what you've done. You can talk about your story and the struggles that you've gone through, and how with the all of these things you've been able to make it where you are now, and the impact on one or two people that you are making. And if you are given the chance, you can actually do better. So sometimes some people may not have done much as of now because they've not been able to be equipped or resourced enough to do that. So maybe you can tell your story in a way that actually indicates that if you are given the chance, you'll be able to do more. So basically, that's where you can tell your story about. But I think later on we can talk on the site, and then you can reach out to any one of us and we'll be able to help. So there's a question from. Uh, okay, there's a question from Evans. Okay, Evans. Evans Adjumfi. So Evans is my good friend. Okay, Evans is asking, which track will a non-profit project belong? Which track would a non-profit project belong? NGO. Which track would it belong?
I guess it will be for leadership in civic engagement, I guess.
Yes. So it will be for leadership in civic engagement. However, based on the type of NGO, it can
Yeah.
sometimes fall under public management.
Yes,
So
also.
so most of the NGOs will fall under civic engagement. But if you go a bit into politics, if your NGO is going more into politics and political stuff, then you go more into the public management track. But once your is focused on just the citizenry, is focused on helping the poor, focus on certain basic needs and stuff, then it would actually fall under civic engagement.
But
Thank you so
also,
much, Maria. Yes, somebody's
but
coming
also
in.
maybe, yes, this is immaculate. But also, if your non-profit organization help other businesses like startups and all that, it can
Exactly.
also fall under business and leadership. So do a research and
Exactly.
get to understand what you're doing and see where you fit, because it cuts across depending on what you're doing.
Mhm.
So let me just put this on the screen, but I think most of you can check that online, and that should be quite fine for most of you. So we shared this earlier just to make it easy to hear. So based on any of these things, your NGO, like Immaculate just mentioned, if your NGO is into incubators, supporting businesses, helping with SMEs, helping with MSMEs and staff, then in that case, you would fall under leadership in business, though it's an NGO. If you are focused in advocacy, you're helping with organizational development and staff, especially advocacy, gender, and so on and so forth, then you fall under civic engagement. And if you are going more into politics, you're going more into resource, financial management systems, and so on and so forth, then you would be in public management. So it would depend on which one you are actually into and then how that happens. Okay, it looks like we don't have any extra question in there. Uh, so I think our time is already fast spent. We didn't want to waste too much time. I would ask all the panelists just to give their last words, some few words, closing remarks. And if there is any last question, we'll give in for two questions if there are any. We'll read it. Otherwise, we'll take the last tips from the panelists and then we'll close the curtain for tonight. Okay, so let's start with Priscilla. Priscilla, what will be your closing remarks or your last tips?
Thank you very much, Dr. Joe. So, to our participants for this chat, thank you so much for joining us. And perhaps my last words would be, if not now, then when?
That's a good one.
Yeah. If not that now, then when? Do not procrastinate. Work on the application as soon as you can. Reach out to as many people for help, reach out for help, and make use of resources. YouTube should be your best friend, Google should be your best friend. Don't wait on fellows to, because sometimes you find that fellows, they would want to help, but then they might be engaged. So make use of other sources of resources that can help you with finding out more information and doing a lot of research on specific tracks that you want to apply for and information that you need. And I just want to encourage you that one time we are all of us on the panel were just listening to people like us talk, and it looks like it cannot be achieved before you actually do it, but it's very possible for you to get into the fellowship. And I wish each and every one of you success in your applications. And I hope most of you will reach out to us when you finally get in, and we will celebrate together. So all the best, and let's keep in touch. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. So, the powerful words from my very good friend from Zambia is, if not now, then when? Very, very, very good words out there. If not now, then when? Okay, so at this point, Mariama is off. We'll come to Immaculate. But there's a last question here I think we've already answered, but let's just bring the person now. So Immaculate, just before I come to you, let's just, the person was asking about the timelines. So please, these are the application timelines. It was open on August 16th. It ends on September 13th. And that is actually when you actually, it will be closed. So on September 13th, by midnight is already closed. There is nothing you can do. So I always advise people apply at worst a day before. You should apply at worst a day before. Don't be in a hurry to put in the application now. But a day or two before the deadline, please put in your application. And these are the other timelines that you can have. We have a last question. Please, can you apply while you're a student? You don't have any limitation at all, whether student, whether old person, whatever it is, you actually shouldn't have any limit as long as your impact is there. I remember my host institute. We had Leslie from Cameroon, who was literally 24 years. He was like my student, and I was in the same class with him. Okay, so literally, it does not actually matter at all. And uh, so I was in the same class with someone who is actually like my student. So it doesn't matter at all. You can apply, it doesn't matter as long as, but it's between 25 years all the way to 35. And if you are exceptional, 24 years, you can be allowed in. But you should be between 25 to 35. Okay, people are asking about the site. Okay, I'll share it in the comment there for you. So at this point, I'll call on our very good friend Immaculate from Kenya to give us last words.
Thank you, Dr. Evans, and other panelists for this great session. My last word would be, if your dreams are not big enough, or if your dreams do not scare you, then it's not big enough. So I would encourage you to not limit yourself. Go in, apply, give it your best, be intentional, and like Priscilla said, do research. Use all the resources you have available to evaluate yourself and what you are applying for. And I wish you all the best in your application. And hopefully in future we're gonna, have another session with you, like you've already gotten in, and we can have another session in terms of the experiences in the US. All the best.
Thank you so much, Immaculate. It's been exceptional. And I saw somebody in the comment talking about tourism and hospitality, and I'm sure she was so delighted hearing you talk. And definitely, you are an icon and an example for her to also believe she can also be the next fellow. Thank you so much, Immaculate. And at this point, you should all know very well that every one of us here, we are doing this as a form of giving back to society and saying that whatever we experience there, we do not want to keep it to ourselves. We would like you to experience the same thing and even do better than we did. At this point, we'll call on Mariama, my very good friend from Senegal. Mariama, so we are taking our last words. I don't know what your last words will be uh, for actually our audience and all those who listen. Just a
Yeah,
few words.
thank you, Doctor. I will just give this opportunity to share my last word by starting and thanks you for the opportunity and give us the platform to share and to give back to the community. And I'm also thanking the other panelists. It was very amazing. We gave a lot of insights and information for the people out here. So thank you for having me. And I will just tell to the people here to be very positive, to love themselves, and to be to be very comment on dit encore truc,
C'est quel mot que tu...
il y a un mot que je recherche d'être positif. Il y a un mot. Bon, disons en fait, just let be positive and hope that they will all get the call that they are the Mandela Washington Fellow
Mm.
from 2023, right? So we hope that we gave a lot of information, a lot of tips that are very interesting for them. So if they want to know a lot more, they can ask us. I guess we gave our network social media handle here so they can reach out. And thank you for the opportunity. It was amazing for me.
Thank you so much. Shafi, were you able to join in? Shafi? Shafi, tu es là ou tu joues avec le réseau? Okay, so
Apparemment, le
je,
réseau Evans a beaucoup de problèmes, hein. Même moi, j'ai des problèmes de réseau.
apparemment, je viens de me rendre compte même. Avec même Tracy, elle n'a pas pu nous joindre. C'était grave. Uh, First and foremost, we'd like to apologize for two of our panelists. One had an unexpected network issue, and the other had lights out. So there was total lights out in that country, and couldn't join us. So there wasn't much we could do. So she couldn't come on board. She was here with us, but it went off. So we want to thank all of you. For me, my last words is the fact that you actually need to tell your story, and you are the best storyteller. You know exactly what you've done, and you know exactly the impact you are making. Most of us can help you to read for you, but nobody can write it for you. I would never advise anybody listening to me to let anybody write TSS for you, because a lot of people are shortlisted, but then they get to the interview. So if you look at what we put here, there is a part where there is the interview. So semi-finalists interviewed by local US embassies and consulates. So if you let somebody write it for you and you get to the interview, you'll be badly exposed and you would never get the chance anymore. So please write it yourself, and then you can let people proofread it for you. You are the best storyteller of your life. And then once you do that, just put in enough evidences, and then you will be able to actually be the person that will be selected. So don't be intimidated at all. The embassy looks at so many criteria, and they would make sure that there is, so they like diversity. The US likes diversity. So maybe your area, just a few people may have applied, and you may be the one to be picked up. So we hope that one of you would say that through this program it helped you, and you've become a fellow, and would want to wish you all the best. I want to thank the panelists so much. This initiative was actually the brainchild of Priscilla Simon, my dear friend from Zambia. So this is actually her brainchild. She's a mastermind behind it, ably supported by Immaculate, and also with Mariama, and then Shafi, and Tracy. So Tracy is a lawyer from Nigeria. She couldn't join in. It's been a pleasure having all of you, and we are so grateful to all of you. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night. Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.
Bye.
And Dr. Joe, you've been amazing with the moderation. Thank you so much.